Waking up before the rest of the world feels like stepping into a secret garden that only you and the Creator know about. A place where the air is still and the day hasn't yet had a chance to demand anything from you. I feel so honored that you've invited me into your space during these sacred minutes. And if our time together brings even a small glimmer of light to your path, I would love for you to join our family at Miracle Prayer Studio by subscribing, so we can continue to find this quiet stillness together every morning. Our lives often feel like a crowded room where everyone is shouting at once. And I'm talking to you today because I know how exhausting it is to try to find your own voice amidst that roar. We sit here together, perhaps with a cup of coffee or just the sound of our own breathing, acknowledging that the noise isn't always outside of us. Sometimes it is the loud thumping of a worried heart or the static of 1,000 what-ifs playing on a loop in our minds. I want us to recognize that this craving we feel for silence isn't a sign of weakness, but a beautiful signal that our souls were made for a sanctuary that the world simply cannot provide. Deep within us, there is a door that leads away from the chaos, and we are talking to each other right now about how to turn the handle and step through. It isn't about running away from our responsibilities or pretending the world isn't messy, but about finding that center of gravity that holds us steady when the ground starts to shake. As we settle into this moment, I want you to feel that you aren't alone in your search for rest, for we are walking this path of surrender side by side, looking toward the same horizon where the morning star rises. St. Augustine once whispered a truth that echoes through the centuries, telling us that our heart is restless until it rests in you. And those words feel particularly heavy and true as the sun begins to peek through the curtains. In the quiet of this room, we find that the restlessness we've been trying to cure with busyness or distractions can only be healed by the very presence we often overlook in our haste. This morning is our chance to stop the running, to let the dust settle, and to finally allow our hearts to find the one place where they are truly understood without a single word being spoken. In the letter to the Philippians, chapter 4, verse 7, we are offered a promise that feels like a cool breeze on a feverish forehead, as it tells us that the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. This isn't a peace that makes sense to the logical mind, nor is it a peace that depends on everything going right in our schedules, but rather a supernatural guard that stands at the entrance of our thoughts. When we read this, we aren't just looking at black ink on a page. We are hearing an invitation to stop trying to understand everything and instead start trusting the one who holds everything. My King, I come before you now with hands that are open and a spirit that is finally ready to listen, moved by the depth of the promise I just read. I admit to you, my dear Lord, that I spend so much of my energy trying to figure out my own peace, trying to arrange my life like furniture until it looks calm. But I realize now that true stillness is a gift that flows from your throne. I want to enter into communion with you today, not as a stranger or a beggar, but as a child who has finally come home after a very long and noisy journey. Father in heaven, please help me to focus my attention solely on your face in these moments, letting the shadows of my to-do list and the echoes of my failures fade into the background. I want to dwell in your sanctuary, that secret place where the noise of the world is muffled by the sheer weight of your glory and the tenderness of your love. My soul is thirsty for a drink that only your Spirit can provide, and I am standing here quiet and expectant, waiting for the ripple of your peace to move across the waters of my heart. My dear Lord, I am leaning into the truth that your peace transcends all understanding, which means I don't have to have the answers before I can have the rest. I give you my need to know how everything will turn out, and I replace it with a simple, quiet gaze upon your goodness. It is enough for me to know that you are here, that you are sovereign, and that the guard you place over my mind is stronger than any worry that tries to break in. Jesus, I am giving this entire day to you, offering every hour like a sacrifice of praise before the first task has even begun. I place the morning rush, the afternoon pressures, and the evening fatigue into your capable hands, trusting that you will be the steady pulse beneath it all. I offer you my conversations, asking that they be seasoned with the same grace you show me, and I offer you my silence, asking that it be filled with the awareness of your constant companionship. My King, everything I am and everything I hope to be is laid at your feet this morning, for I know that anything kept back from you is just a weight I wasn't meant to carry. I surrender my plans, my ambitions, and even my justified concerns, believing that your way is not only better but infinitely more peaceful than the path I would carve for myself. Take my hands and lead them to do your work. Take my feet and guide them toward the people who need your light. Take my heart and let it beat in unison with yours. Father, my heart feels a deep sense of gratitude as I think about the verse in Philippians, realizing that you care enough about my mental state to promise me a guard for my mind. Thank you for the gift of this new morning, for the breath in my lungs that I so often take for granted, and for the mercy that stayed fresh while I slept. I am so thankful that your love isn't a reward for my productivity, but a foundation that remains solid even when I am at my most fragile and unproductive. I am sorry, my dear Lord, for the times I have allowed the noise to become my master, for the days I have listened to the accusations of the enemy or the pressures of society more than I have listened to your gentle whisper. Please forgive me for seeking peace in temporary things, in the approval of people or in the security of a bank account, instead of seeking it in the sanctuary of your presence. I ask for your cleansing touch to wash away the grime of yesterday's frustrations, leaving me as bright and clear as the morning sky. Jesus, based on the promise that your peace will guard my heart, I ask now for a specific infusion of your strength to meet the demands of this particular day. I pray for a calmness that isn't just a mask I wear, but a deep, structural quietness that allows me to respond rather than react to the challenges ahead. When the noise rises at work or the tensions grow at home, let me be a carrier of your sanctuary, bringing a sense of order and heaven-sent tranquility into every room I enter. My King, I ask for your divine protection over my family and my children as they step out into a world that can be so loud and confusing. Guard their hearts and minds, just as you are guarding mine, and let our home be a place where your peace is the very air we breathe. I pray for wisdom in my work, that I would see opportunities to serve you through my excellence and my integrity, and that I would never lose sight of your hand guiding my career and my provision. Father in heaven, I also bring my physical and emotional needs to you, asking for healing in the places where the noise of pain or the static of grief has been too loud. I ask that your peace would act as a balm, soothing the nerves that are frayed and the spirits that are weary from the long climb. Grant me the discernment to know when to speak and when to stay silent, when to move and when to wait, all while being held in the secure grip of your transcendent peace. The morning light is growing stronger now, and I'm talking to you about the way the shadows begin to retreat when we stay in this posture of prayer just a little longer. It's tempting to get up and start the day the moment we feel a tiny bit of relief, but we're talking to each other about the beauty of lingering, of letting the roots of our faith go just a bit deeper into the soil of God's grace. I want you to feel the weight of the world lifting, not because the problems have vanished, but because the one who carries the world has just picked you up as well. There is a rhythm to this dialogue we are having with the Father, a back and forth where our sighs are met with His comfort and our questions are met with His character. I'm talking to you because I know that sometimes the hardest part of the day isn't the big crises, but the small, nagging doubts that eat away at our joy. We are here together to remind ourselves that we are not victims of our circumstances, but residents of a kingdom that cannot be shaken, even when the news is bad or the path is unclear. Looking at the world through the lens of that sanctuary we've been dwelling in, we start to see that the noise is actually just a collection of souls who are also lost and looking for a quiet place. I'm talking to you about the shift that happens when we stop being afraid of the chaos and start being the ones who bring the peace. This morning, as we sit in this sacred space, we are being equipped with a stillness that is more powerful than any storm, and I want us to cherish this equipment as the most valuable thing we will carry today. My dear Lord, as I continue to offer this day to you, I find that my heart is expanding with a gratitude I didn't know I had. Thank you for the way you have already planned out the solutions to the problems I haven't even encountered yet. I am so grateful that your peace isn't something I have to earn or manufacture, but something that simply is, because you are. I thank you for the quietness of this hour, for the safety of my home, and for the promise that you will never leave me nor forsake me, no matter how loud the world becomes. Father, I ask for your forgiveness for the moments I have been the source of noise in someone else's life, for the times my impatience or my sharp words have broken the peace of another. I ask you to soften my heart and refine my tongue, so that I may reflect the sanctuary I have found in you. Wash away my selfishness and my pride, and replace them with a humble confidence that doesn't need to shout to be heard, because it is backed by the authority of your love. Jesus, I pray specifically for the work of my hands today, asking that you would bless every project and every interaction. When the pressure to perform or the fear of failure begins to scream, let the promise from Philippians 4:7 rise up like a shield in my mind. Remind me that I am working for you and not for men, and that my worth is tied to your sacrifice and not my success. Grant me a creative mind and a focused spirit so that I can be productive without being stressed and diligent without being driven by anxiety. My King, I lift up the relationships in my life, asking that your peace would be the glue that holds us together. For those where there is tension or misunderstanding, I ask for the peace that transcends understanding to bridge the gap in ways that my words cannot. I pray for my friends and my extended family, that they would also find a moment today to quiet the noise and hear your voice. Let our connections be marked by a sincerity and a warmth that can only come from spending time in your presence. Father in heaven, I ask for your protection as I travel and as I navigate the physical world today. Keep me safe from harm and shield my mind from the negative influences that try to creep in through the media, through gossip, or through the general heaviness of the world. I want to remain in this sanctuary of thought throughout the day, having a hidden life with you, even while I am busy with the things of the earth. Help me to practice your presence, turning my heart back to you every time I feel the peace beginning to slip away. My dear Lord, I pray for those who are in positions of authority today, for leaders, teachers, and healers, that they would be guided by a wisdom that is higher than their own. Let your peace settle over our cities and our nations, quelling the fires of division and the noise of hatred. I ask that you would use me in some small way to be a peacemaker, someone who speaks words of life into dead situations and who offers a calm hand to those who are drowning in their own worries. Jesus, I am so aware of how much I need you, not just for the big moments, but for the very next breath. I ask for the grace to be patient with myself when I stumble, and the faith to get back up and return to the sanctuary of your grace. I am trusting you to give me exactly what I need for today. No more and no less, knowing that your manna is fresh every morning. I place my fears about the future at the foot of your cross, choosing to believe that the God who guards my heart today is the same God who is already standing in my tomorrow. My King, I want to end this part of our conversation by simply resting in your love. I don't want to ask for anything else for a moment, but just to dwell. I want to imagine your peace like a heavy, warm blanket that covers my mind, shutting out the cold winds of the world's expectations. I am your child. I am loved, and I am safe. That is the only truth I need to carry with me as I step out of this room and into the day. Father, thank you for hearing me. Thank you for this dialogue that never has to end, for even as I go about my chores and my duties, I know that your Spirit remains in constant communion with mine. I am stepping out now, not in my own power, but in the quiet, mountain-moving strength of your Holy Spirit. I am ready to face the day, for I have been to the sanctuary and I have found the peace that is beyond words. As I close this section of my heart's offering, I am reminded that the silence of the morning is a canvas upon which you write your mercies. I am eager to see what you will do today, how you will show up in the unexpected places, and how you will prove your faithfulness once again. My heart is fixed, my mind is guarded, and my soul is at rest. The light outside has shifted from the soft grey of dawn into a clearer, more intentional gold. And as we look out at the world beginning to move, our hearts naturally turn toward those who might be waking up into a very different kind of morning. We are breathing together in this stillness, yet we are aware that just beyond our windows, there are souls facing storms that we can only begin to imagine. It is a beautiful and somewhat heavy responsibility to carry the peace we've found here and offer it up for those who have no words left to pray for themselves. I am thinking about how our lives are like delicate threads in a vast tapestry, and when we find our rest in the Father, that rest has a way of strengthening every thread that touches our own. We are witnessing the start of the world's noise again, but instead of letting it overwhelm us, we can choose to see our peace as a gift to be shared. It is almost as if we are standing on a quiet shore looking out at the rising tide of humanity and realizing that we can be the ones who bring a sense of calm to the water. I want us to lean into the idea that our intercession is a bridge, a way for the grace we have received in this sanctuary to travel to the hearts of the weary, the sick, and the forgotten. In this moment of connection, we aren't just individuals seeking comfort. We are a community of faith extending a hand to those who are still lost in the dark. My King, as I stand in this sanctuary of peace, I lift up the names and the faces of those who are currently walking through the deepest valleys of the shadow. For the ones whose hearts are so heavy with grief that even drawing a breath feels like an impossible chore, I ask that you would be their invisible strength. Let them feel a sudden, unexplainable warmth in their spirit, a quiet reminder that they are not forgotten or discarded in their sorrow. For the sick, whose bodies are weary from the long fight and whose minds are tired of the uncertainty, I pray for your healing hand to rest gently upon them, bringing not just physical restoration, but a deep, spiritual quietness that transcends their physical pain. Father in heaven, I think of the lonely and the abandoned this morning, those who feel that the world has moved on without them and that their voice no longer matters. Let them find in you a friend who sticks closer than a brother, a presence that fills the empty corners of their rooms with a love that needs no explanation. I pray for the children who are waking up in homes filled with tension instead of peace. Please be their shield and their comfort, wrapping them in a safety that only your Spirit can provide. My dear Lord, I ask that you would bless the strangers I will pass today, the clerk at the store, the driver in the next lane, the colleague who seems a bit too quiet. Let my own peace be a source of light for them, even if we never speak a word. My King, I rest in the absolute certainty that you are good and that your plans for my life are filled with a hope that the world cannot take away. Even when the road ahead looks like a tangled mess of challenges and the path is obscured by the fog of my own limitations, I choose to believe that you are already there, smoothing out the rough places. My trust is not in my own ability to navigate the complexities of this day, but in your ancient promise to go before me and to be my rear guard. I declare today that you are my refuge and my fortress, the one in whom I find total safety when the winds of life begin to howl and the noise of the world grows loud. Jesus, I am choosing to let go of the need to control the outcome of my efforts or the timing of my breakthroughs. I trust that you are working all things together for my good, even the parts of my story that feel messy, unresolved, or painful. I affirm my faith in your sovereignty, knowing that nothing can happen today that is beyond your reach or outside of your mercy. When my heart begins to flutter with anxiety, remind me that I belong to you and that the Creator of the stars has already called me by name and provided for my every need. I place my confidence in your character rather than my circumstances, finding my stability in the fact that you never change. My dear Lord, as I prepare to step back into the flow of life and engage with the duties of the day, I ask that you would walk so closely beside me that I can almost hear your heartbeat. I do not want to leave this sanctuary behind. I want to carry it within me, making my own heart a portable dwelling place for your presence. I entrust my future, my small successes, and even my inevitable failures into your hands, knowing that you hold it all with an infinite tenderness that I can barely comprehend. If I should wander from this path of peace, please gently nudge me back toward the stillness, whispering your truth to me when the world tries to shout its lies. Father, I surrender my schedule and my expectations to you, asking that you would use me as a vessel for your grace in every interaction I have. Be the light on my path and the steady strength in my soul, every single step of the way, from this first cup of morning light until the sun sets again. I ask for the grace to see people through your eyes, to listen with your ears, and to love with the heart you have given me. I am not going into this day alone, and for that, I am more grateful than words can ever express. Stay with me, my King, and let your peace be the final word in my heart today and every day that follows. My King, I thank you for the way you have met me in this silence, and for the way you have prepared my spirit for what lies ahead. I feel the weight of your protection like a garment, and I am ready to walk forward with a quiet confidence that is rooted in your love. May everything I do today bring honor to your name and reflect the beauty of the sanctuary I have found in your presence. I am yours, and I am safe in your hands. Amen.